It is 3 minutes before the vote. The bill to raise the French retirement age from 62 to 64 is about to lose. The Prime Minister knows this. She's counted the votes. She walks to the podium anyway. And then she does something that almost never happens in French democracy. She invokes Article 49.3, the constitutional clause that lets the government bypass Parliament entirely and pass a law by executive decree. The chamber erupts. Opposition MPs stand and sing the Marseillaise to drown her out. Boos echo off the walls of the National Assembly. Outside, 3 decades of protests are about to begin. Refineries strike. Garbage piles 7,000 tons high in the streets of Paris. 8 unions march together for the first time since 2009. The bill passes, the retirement age rises, the protests change nothing. Here is the detail the news coverage missed. France's own official pension advisory body published its findings in June 2024. The report is 70 pages of bureaucratic language, and buried inside it is a single sentence that should have been the headline. From 2024 through 2070, not 1 year of balanced pension financing is expected. Not one. A prime minister destroyed her career to push through a reform that her own government's advisors said would not solve the problem. That is what this video is about, not the protests, not the politics, the mathematics, because the same calculation that broke France applies to the United Kingdom, to Germany, to the United States, to Italy, to Japan, and your government is not going to tell you, because there is no version of this story where the politician who tells it gets re-elected. To understand how Western pension systems are breaking, you first have to understand that they were never designed to work the way we think they were. Berlin, June 22, 1889. Otto von Bismarck, the Iron Chancellor of Germany, signed into law the world's first state pension. Retirement age, 70. Average German life expectancy at birth that year, 40. Read that again. The retirement age was 70. The average person died at 40. Bismarck was not building a welfare system. He told a colleague in plain language, whoever has a pension for his old age is far easier to handle than one who has no such prospect. The pension was a political weapon against the socialist movement, a calculated bribe to the working class. He designed it so that most people would pay in their whole lives and die before collecting a single mark. Washington, August 14, 1935. Franklin Roosevelt signed the Social Security Act. Retirement age 65. Payroll tax, 1% from the worker, 1% from the employer. In 1945, when the first full wave of beneficiaries began collecting, there were 42 American workers paying in for every single retiree drawing out. 42 workers, 1 retiree. That is not an insurance system. That is a river of money flowing in one direction with almost nothing flowing back. Bismarck's Germany in 1889, Britain in 1908, Roosevelt's America in 1935. All three built the same architecture, a large young working population paying a small amount each. A small, old, short-lived population receiving a modest benefit for a few years. The founding bargain was never a retirement entitlement for everyone. It was insurance against the rare event of surviving too long. Then something happened that nobody planned for. People stopped dying on schedule. A pay-as-you-go pension system is mathematically identical to a chain letter. It works perfectly as long as each new generation is larger and more productive than the last one. The moment that changes, the letter starts eating itself. In 1945, there were 42 American workers per retiree. In 2025, 2.7. The Congressional Budget Office projects that the number continues falling through 2035 and beyond. The European numbers are worse. Italy is currently running roughly 1.5 contributors for every pensioner. Germany is at 1.8, France at 1.7. These are not projections. These are today's ratios right now. The OECD's November 2025 Pensions at a Glance report calculated what comes next. By 2050, across OECD countries, there will be 52 people aged 65 and over for every 100 working-age adults, up from 33 today and just 22 in the year 2000. In South Korea, the birth rate is currently 0.75 children per woman. Replacement requires 2.1. The capital Seoul is at 0.64. The United Nations projects that by 2060, the total dependent population of South Korea, children plus elderly combined, will outnumber working-age Koreans entirely. This is not economics. This is arithmetic. The denominator collapses. The numerator keeps growing. The fraction breaks. Every Western government has known this was coming. The demographic data has been visible since at least the 1970s. For 50 years, they had three options. Every government tried all three. None of them worked. Option 1, raise contributions. Force workers and employers to pay more. Germany's current contribution rate is already 18.6% of gross wages, split between workers and employers. The German central bank, the Bundesbank, has calculated that maintaining the current benefit level through 2070 requires raising the rate to 29%. That is almost a third of every worker's gross income before they touch a cent. No German government will impose it. No government anywhere has. Option 2, cut benefits. Reduce what retirees actually receive. Italy tried this in 1995 with the Dini reform. The catch: a grandfathering clause protected anyone who already had 18 years of contributions. Half of all new Italian retirees remained untouched until 2021. The reform failed to close the gap. Italy tried again in 2011 during the sovereign debt crisis. A technocratic government imposed cuts in 36 days. The labor minister broke down in tears at the press conference. The reforms held until 2019, when populist governments began dismantling them. Option 3, raise the retirement age, push the exit point back and reduce the payout period. France from 62 to 64. Germany from 65 towards 67, with the Bundesbank now openly pushing for 69. The UK from 65 to 66, moving to 67 by 2028 and 68 to follow. Denmark has already legislated 70 by 2040. Italy's retirement age is now automatically indexed to life expectancy. The United States raised its full retirement age from 65 to 67 in 1983 in a reform that bought 40 years of solvency. That solvency runs out in 2032. The Congressional Budget Office updated its projection in February 2026. Without congressional action, the automatic outcome under existing law is a 23 to 24% across-the-board benefit cut beginning in 2032. No vote required, no announcement. The mechanism is already written into the statute. The average Social Security retirement benefit in April 2026 was $2,081 per month. A 23% cut removes $479 of that every month, every retiree, regardless of need, regardless of how long they paid in. Nobody in Congress has a plan. The 2026 class of senators will be the first federally elected group required to confront this within their 6-year term. Bipartisan discussions have opened as of June 2026. No legislation has passed. Of the three options, raising the retirement age looks the most neutral. It sounds technical, it sounds fair, work a bit longer, everyone makes a small sacrifice, the arithmetic improves, it is not fair, it is the most regressive policy tool in the modern government toolkit, and right now every Western government is using it. Here is why. The UK Health Foundation published its analysis in April 2026. The average British person now experiences good health for just under 61 years. The state pension age currently sits at 66 and is rising to 67 between April 2026 and March 2028. In more than 90% of local authority areas across Great Britain, healthy life expectancy has already fallen below the state pension age. In more than 1 in 10 areas, it is below 55. In the most deprived areas of England, men can expect to be in poor health 15 years before they qualify for a pension. In Richmond-upon-Thames, wealthy, southern, professional, healthy life expectancy for men is over 69 years. In the most deprived districts of the north of England, it is below 52, a gap of nearly 20 years between postcodes in the same country. A hedge fund manager in Mayfair will retire at 67, live in excellent health until 85, and collect his pension for 18 years. A warehouse worker in Sunderland will spend the last decade of his working life in chronic pain, reach pension age in poor health if he reaches it at all, and collect his pension for perhaps 3 years before he dies. When a government raises the retirement age, it raises it for both of them equally. The policy lands on one of them as a minor inconvenience. On the other, it is a denial of everything they paid in for. The pension is presented as a universal social contract. What raising the retirement age actually does is make it progressively less universal. And it does so quietly, without ever announcing it, in the language of actuarial adjustments and life expectancy averages. Governments cannot announce that they are breaking the pension promise. It would cause a political collapse. So throughout history, they have broken it without announcing it. There is a playbook. It has 3 moves. Move 1, inflate the benefit away. Russia, 1992, hyperinflation hit 2,509%. The state continued paying pensions at the same nominal ruble figure. Bread prices rose 25-fold in 12 months. The pension's real value evaporated without a single official reduction. Surveys across Russian cities found half of pensioners had lost 5 kilograms or more of body weight in 6 months. Male life expectancy fell from 63 to 57 in 3 years. The state never broke the promise. It simply paid it in currency that bought nothing. In the United States today, the mechanism is subtler but structurally identical. Social Security cost of living adjustments use the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners. A separate index specifically tracking elderly spending patterns runs 0.2 percentage points higher each year because the elderly spend a larger share of their income on health care. Compounded across a 25-year retirement, that gap erodes roughly 8% of real lifetime benefits. No vote, no announcement, no cut. The Senior Citizens League calculated in 2023 that retirees who began collecting in 2000 have lost 36% of their real buying power. Move 2. Nationalize the savings. Argentina, 2008. President Cristina Fernández de Kirchner transferred $30 billion of private citizen pension assets to the state in a single law. The stated reason: protecting citizens from failed private fund management. The actual reason: Argentina had $20 billion in bond payments due and no access to international credit markets. The seized pension assets were already 60% invested in government bonds. The confiscation was a debt monetization wearing the language of welfare reform. Hungary, 2010. Prime Minister Viktor Orban gave citizens a choice: transfer your private pension savings to the state or lose all future entitlement to the state pension. 97% transferred. $14 billion moved into the Hungarian treasury in a single year. Move 3, quietly means test the universal benefit. In the United Kingdom, the winter fuel payment had been universal for decades. Every pensioner received it. In July 2024, Chancellor Rachel Reeves restricted it to those receiving pension credit. The recipient count fell from 10.8 million to 1.5 million overnight. After 10 months of outrage, she reversed course in June 2025, but she did not restore universality. She introduced an income threshold of £35,000 clawed back through the tax system. A universal benefit ceased to be universal without ever being abolished. It was redefined out of existence. 3 moves, all used in living memory, all deployed without ever announcing a broken promise. The promise breaks itself while the government holds the press conference about protecting retirees. Here is the uncomfortable conclusion. The pension, as a primary source of retirement income for tens of millions of ordinary people, is a 20th century novelty, about 120 years old in Britain, 90 years old in America. Before Bismarck, the historical baseline for old age was the family, the household, the parish, and the savings of a working life. Across the same century that built the pension promise, the multi-generational household dissolved. Savings rates collapsed. Private defined benefit pensions were replaced by defined contribution accounts that shift all the risk to the individual worker. The OECD estimates that the working age population across member countries will fall by 13% over the next 40 years, and GDP per capita will drop by 14% by 2060. The governments being asked to backstop pension shortfalls are simultaneously spending more on interest on debt than on defense for the first time in history. The average Generation X worker age 45 to 60 has saved approximately $150,000 for retirement, according to data presented at Davos 2025. At a standard 4% drawdown rate that sustains roughly $6,000 per year, the arithmetic always wins. Every government designing these systems knew it. Every reform has tried to bend the same equation without admitting it had already stopped bending. A pension is a claim on someone else's future labor. It works when the future is larger than the past. When the future is smaller, the claim cannot be fully honored. That is not an ideological statement. It is a demographic one. The question now is not whether your government will break the pension promise. Several of the mechanisms for doing so are already in motion. The question is which mechanism is used, how fast it is, and whether you see it coming before it arrives. Here is what I want to hear from you in the comments. Do you trust that your government will protect your pension, or do you think you are watching the same playbook that Russian pensioners in 1991 and Hungarian savers in 2010 watched, too slowly to do anything about it? If you want to understand where this has led historically, which countries have actually managed the transition without a collapse, that